female reproductive system produces sex hormones that maintains the reproductive cycle of women. It also produces egg cells or oocytes, a haploid cell which is necessary for reproduction. The female reproductive anatomy includes both external and internal structures. The function of the external female reproductive structures is to enable sperm to enter the body and to protect the internal genital organs from infectious organisms. The main external structures of the female reproductive system includes the labia majora, labia minora, Bartholin's glands, and the clitoris. The labia majora encloses and protects the other external reproductive organs. During puberty, hair growth occurs on the skin of the labia majora, which also contains sweat and oil-secreting glands. The labia minora can have a variety of sizes and shapes. They lie just inside the labia majora and surrounds the openings of the vagina, which is the canal that joins the lower part of the uterus to the outside of the body, and urethra, or the tube that carries urine from the bladder to the outside of the body. This skin is very delicate and can become easily irritated and swollen. The Bartholin's glands are glands that are located next to the vaginal openings on each side and produces a fluid or mucus secretion. The clitoris. The two labia minora meet at the clitoris, a small sensitive protrusion that is comparable to the penis in males. The clitoris is covered by a fold of skin called the prepuce, which is similar to the foreskin at the end of the penis. Like the penis, the clitoris is very sensitive to stimulation and can become erect. The internal reproductive organs includes the vagina, uterus, ovaries, and fallopian tube. The vagina is a canal that joins the cervix or the lower part of the uterus to the outside of the body. It is also known as the birth canal. The uterus or the womb is a hollow, pear-shaped organ that is the home to a developing fetus. The uterus is divided into two parts, the cervix, which is the lower part that opens into the vagina, and the main body of the uterus called the corpus. The corpus can easily expand to hold a developing baby. A canal through the cervix allows sperm to enter and menstrual blood to exit. Ovaries are small oval-shaped glands that are located on either side of the uterus. The ovaries produce eggs and hormones. The fallopian tube. These are narrow tubes that are attached to the upper part of the uterus and serves as pathways of the ova, or the egg cells, to travel from the ovaries to the uterus. Fertilization of an egg by a sperm normally occurs in the fallopian tube. The fertilized egg then moves to the uterus, where it implants to the uterine lining. The male reproductive system produces, maintains, and transports sperm and semen. It also produces and secretes male sex hormones and discharges sperm within the female reproductive tract. Most of the male reproductive system is located outside of the man's abdominal cavity or pelvis. The external structures of the male reproductive system are the penis, scrotum, and the testicles. The penis is the male organ for sexual intercourse. It has three parts: the root, which attaches to the wall of the abdomen, the body or shaft, and the glans, which is the cone-shaped end of the penis. The glans or the head of the penis is covered with a loose layer of skin called foreskin. The opening of the urethra, the tube that transports semen and urine, is at the tip of the glans penis. The penis also contains a number of sensitive nerve endings. Semen, which contains sperm, is expelled through the end of the penis when the man reaches sexual climax. When the penis is erect, the flow of the urine is blocked from the urethra, allowing only semen to be ejaculated at orgasm. The scrotum is the loose pouch-like sac of skin that hangs behind the penis. It contains the testicles as well as many nerves and blood vessels. The scrotum has a protective function and acts as a climate control system for the testes. The testes are oval organs about the size of very large olives that lie in the scrotum, secured at either end by a structure called the spermatic cord. Most men have two testes. The testes are responsible for making testosterone, the primary male sex hormone, and for producing sperm. Within the testes are coiled masses of tubes called seminiferous tubules. These tubules are responsible for producing the sperm cells through a process called spermatogenesis. The epididymis is a long coiled tube that rests on the backside of each testicle. It functions in the carrying and storage of the sperm cells that are produced in the testes. It also is the job of the epididymis to bring the sperm to maturity, since the sperm that emerge from the testes are immature and incapable of fertilization. During sexual arousal, the contraction force of the sperm into the vas deferens. The internal organs of the male reproductive system is also called accessory organs. It includes the vas deferens, ejaculatory duct, urethra, seminal vesicles, prostate gland, and the bulbourethral glands. The vas deferens is a long muscular tube that travels from the epididymis into the pelvic cavity to just behind the bladder. The vas deferens transports mature sperm to the urethra in preparation for ejaculation. The ejaculatory ducts formed by the fusion of vas deferens and the seminal vesicles. The ejaculatory ducts empty into the urethra. The urethra is the tube that carries urine from the bladder to outside of the body. In males, it has the additional function of expelling semen when the man reaches orgasm. When the penis is erect during sex, the flow of urine is blocked from the urethra, allowing only semen to be ejaculated at orgasm. The seminal vesicles are sac-like pouches that attach to the vas deferens near the base of the bladder. The seminal vesicle produces a sugar-rich fluid that produces sperm with a source of energy and helps with the sperm's motility. The fluid of the seminal vesicles makes up most of the volume of a man's ejaculatory fluid or ejaculate. The prostate gland is a walnut-sized structure that is located below the urinary bladder in front of the rectum. The prostate gland contributes additional fluid to the ejaculate. Prostate fluids also help to nourish the sperm. The urethra, which carries the ejaculate to be expelled during orgasm, runs through the center of the prostate gland. Lastly, the bulbourethral glands, or Cowper's glands, are pea-sized structures located on the sides of the urethra just below the prostate gland. These glands produce a clear, slippery fluid that empties directly into the urethra. This fluid serves to lubricate the urethra and to neutralize any acidity that may be present during the residual drops of urine in the urethra. Asexual reproduction occurs in prokaryotes and lower invertebrates. There is no formation of gametes, it is uniparental, no fertilization occurs, there is absence of reproductive organs, and the progeny and parent is genetically identical. Also, mitosis is the only cellular division present. On the other hand, sexual reproduction occurs in humans and animals. It is usually biparental, where gametes are formed, and also fertilization occurs. There is also presence of reproductive organs, and progeny and parents are genetically different. Also, mitosis and meiosis are the cellular division present. External fertilization is a process wherein syngamy, or the union of male and female gametes, occurs outside the female body, that is, in the outer environment, especially in water bodies like how frogs release their eggs into the water. While internal fertilization is the process when the union of male and female gametes occurs inside the female body after insemination using copulation. Direct development is a type of development in which an embryo develops into a mature individual without involving a larval stage. Here, metamorphosis is absent, and it occurs in fish, reptiles, birds, and mammals. On the other hand, indirect development is a type of development that involves a sexually immature larval stage, having different food requirements than adults. Here, metamorphosis is present, and it occurs in invertebrates and amphibians. Sperm production is hormonally driven. Brain hormones govern sperm production and are precisely controlled. The male genitalia are responsible for sperm and ejaculate production. Within the brain, the hypothalamus and anterior pituitary gland control sperm production. The hypothalamus secretes gonadotropin-releasing hormone or GnRH, which acts on the anterior pituitary gland, stimulating it to release follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. FSH and LH are released into the bloodstream and act only on the testes to encourage spermatogenesis within seminiferous tubules and testosterone production by neighboring Leydig cells between the seminiferous tubules. Normal hormone balance is important for normal sperm production, and these hormones are often measured as part of the infertility evaluation.
The ovary is the site of the development of the oocyte. Within the ovaries, follicles develop. Each follicle houses an oocyte, which matures simultaneously with the follicle. The primary follicle houses an oocyte encapsulated by a coating called the zona pellucida. It also contains a layer of granulosa cells that surrounds the oocyte. The secondary follicle contains many more granulosa cells, and an accumulation of follicular fluid that is secreted by granulosa cells. This fluid coalesces in the follicle to form the antrum. A mature follicle is much larger than a secondary follicle, and the antrum occupies a greater portion of the follicle. It is within the mature follicle that the first meiotic division of the oocyte is completed, to produce a secondary oocyte and the first polar body. The secondary oocyte receives most of the cytoplasm from the cell division. However, the nuclei and the chromosomes are divided equally. The polar body degenerates. The mature follicle ruptures at ovulation to release the secondary oocyte and a corona of granulosa cells into the uterine tube. The second meiotic division cannot be completed unless the secondary oocyte unites with a sperm cell. As a result of this division, a second polar body is formed, and the oocyte and sperm nuclei combine to form a zygote.
Fertilization is the union of human egg and sperm, usually occurring in the ampulla of the fallopian tube. The result of this union is the production of a zygote cell, or fertilized egg, initiating prenatal development. The process of fertilization involves a sperm fusing with an ovum. The most common sequence begins with ejaculation during copulation, follows with ovulation, and finishes with fertilization. Upon entering the secondary oocyte, the acrosome of the sperm produces enzymes which allows it to burrow through the outer jelly coat of the egg. The sperm plasma then fuses with the egg's plasma membrane, triggering the sperm head to disconnect from its flagellum as the egg travels down to the fallopian tube to reach the uterus. After the sperm enters the cytoplasm of the oocyte, the tail and the outer coating of the sperm disintegrate and the cortical reaction takes place, preventing other sperm from fertilizing the same egg. The oocyte now undergoes its second meiotic division, producing the haploid ovum and releasing a polar body. The sperm nucleus then fuses with the ovum, enabling fusion of their genetic material. When the sperm enters the vitelline space, receptors of the sperm head called isomo-1 binds to Juno on the oocyte membrane. Once it's bound, 2 blocks to polyspermy then occurs. After approximately 40 minutes, the other Juno receptors on the oocyte are lost from the membrane, causing it to no longer be fusogenic. Additionally, the cortical reaction will happen, which is caused by ovastatin binding and cleaving ZP2 receptors on the zona pellucida. These 2 blocks on the polyspermy are what prevents the zygote from having too much DNA. So the stages of human development includes the zygotic stage, blastocyst stage, embryonic stage, and fetal stage. During the zygotic stage, the zygote is formed when the male gamete and the female gamete fuse. 2. Blastocyst stage. In the blastocyst stage, the single-celled zygote begins to divide into a solid ball of cells. Then, it becomes a hollow ball of cells called blastocyst, attaching to the lining of the mother's uterus. During the embryonic stage, the major internal organs and external features begin to emerge, forming an embryo. In this stage, the heart, brain, and spinal cord becomes visible. Arms and legs start to develop. During the fetal stage, once the formed features of the embryo begin to grow and develop, the organism is considered a fetus. Differentiation and specialization of structures happen during this time. During development, the number of cells must increase through division so that body axis, tissues, organs, and structures must form. Individual cells become specialized in their structure and function through their process of cell differentiation. Sperm swim up the vagina through the cervical opening, upward through the uterus, and into one of the two fallopian tubes. If an egg released during the month's ovulation is in the tube, one sperm has a chance to fertilize it. Contraceptives are designed to prevent this process, and they work in three basic ways. They block the sperm, disable sperm before they reach the uterus, or suppress ovulation. Block is the simplest. Male and female condoms prevent sperm from coming into contact with the vaginal space. That barrier is also why they, unlike other contraceptive methods, are able to prevent transmission of certain sexual transmitted disease. Meanwhile, the diaphragm, cervical cap, and sponge work by being placed over the cervix, barricading the entrance of the uterus. These contraceptives are sometimes called barrier methods and can be used with spermicides, an example of the second category disabled. A spermicide is a chemical that immobilizes and destroys sperm. Today, spermicide come as foam, cream, jellies, suppositories, and even a thin piece of translucent film that dissolves in the vagina. These products can be inserted directly into the vagina before intercourse or can be combined with block methods like a diaphragm or condom for added protection. The third category for preventing pregnancy works by suppressing the action of an egg maturing in the ovary. If there isn't an egg available in the fallopian tube, there is nothing for sperm to fertilize. Hormonal contraceptives, including the pill, the patch, the depot shot, and the vaginal ring, all release synthetic versions of various combinations of progesterone and estrogen. These hormone cocktails suppresses ovulation, keeping the immature egg safely sequestered in the ovary. A sexually transmitted disease is an infection transmitted from person to person through sexual contact. Many STDs have mild or no symptoms, so you may not even know that you have one. But STDs can cause serious health problems and can sometimes be fatal. Here are some examples of STDs. 1 is the human papillomavirus. It is one of the most common sexually transmitted infection, which is transferred by skin-to-skin contact with genitals or anus. Chlamydia is a bacterial infection of the genital tract. Some people may have no symptoms. It may include burning while urinating, lower abdominal pain, abnormal vaginal discharge, discharge from the penis, pain during sex. If left untreated, it can impact a female's ability to have children. Next is the human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV. It can lead to AIDS, a life-threatening disease. It interferes with the body's ability to fight illnesses.